KY3's Ozarks Today continues with Maria Neider, Paul Adler, and Storm Team meteorologist Brandon Beck. The Ozarks' #1 newscast.
A winter wallop bearing down on the Ozarks.
Coming up, live team coverage of where the storm is coating roads with sleet and what local officials are doing to get ready for heavy snow.
Good morning. You're watching Ozarks Today on this Tuesday, February 1st. I'm Paul Adler. We are now getting a report of power out in the Rogersville area. We'll be following that this morning.
I'm Maria Neider. We're under a winter storm warning this morning, and a blizzard warning starts in a half hour. Some 300 schools have canceled classes today, including Springfield Public Schools and Missouri State, in anticipation of a major winter event here in the Ozarks. We begin our team coverage with the latest from the Storm Team Center. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, guys. We've got a pretty good system already moving into the Ozarks. Now, a lot of this has been sleet so far, essentially anywhere from Springfield on south, and you can see everything moving north. Anywhere you see those yellows and oranges, those are heavier pockets of sleet, but we've had snow mixed in and are, in fact, seeing that now here in Springfield, so we're really close. The weather balloon is going up as we speak and shows a layer that's about a degree above freezing, a few thousand feet up. Once that disappears, we're going to see this go to all snow, and it's going to fly hard and fast in the Ozarks. Here's what it looks like region-wide. You see the snow, heavy at times, all the way down through the Tulsa area, and while it doesn't fill in quite full over northern Arkansas, that will change with time, and temps are at or below freezing for the entire Ozarks region at this point. The warm spot being right at 32 in Mountain Home. We're 24 in Springfield, 19 in Joplin. You see 12 in Chanute, and that cold air is going to be pouring in. Half to as much as an inch of ice to the east. Now, up that based on the freezing temps all the way down to Mountain Home now. Going to hope that we see a more rapid transition to sleet, which is possible. So we're going to watch that very, very carefully. That's going to be an area that we have to watch for power outages late today. And then here's your snowfall. Unfortunately, not really changed much from last evening. We've got 6 to 12, probably closer to the 12 here in Springfield, and then 12 to as high as 20 across the northwest Ozarks. I think the 20 would occur anytime we see any thunderstorms within this, which we've seen a few of this morning. I'll have a little more detail and the rest of your forecast coming up in about 10 minutes, guys.
All right, we're standing by. Thanks, Brandon.
As we've mentioned, we are under a winter storm warning this morning, and as Brandon just talked about, the heaviest snowfall will be kind of north of Springfield. Camdenton
could see up to 20 inches of snow by the time this is all over. If you can imagine that, that's where we have KY3's Jay Schurter live this morning. Jay, tell us what's coming down right now, what you're seeing.
Well, imagine it or not, yeah, it's definitely coming. You know, it started about 45 minutes ago, the snow really starting to come down. Before that, we did see a wintry mix, a lot of freezing rain, bringing down just a little icy layer. For the most part, Camdenton, the entire lake area, like it is with the rest of the state, pretty much shut down. Even the 24-hour Walmart, that those things takes almost an army to shut them down. They are not open today at all. We have seen many MoDOT trucks trying to clear 54. This last check on the MoDOT website, Highway 5 still very much covered. We did talk to the sheriff's office. They said for the most part, people are staying home. They haven't heard of any major accidents up until that point. Of course, we hope that stays that way throughout the day. Only a handful of people staying at the hotel I'm at, mostly just different workers coming through. I did get to speak with a few of them just last night as we landed. Of course, all of them very worried about what is going to happen today and whether or not they're going to be able to leave. At this point, it looks like at about 9 to noon is going to get the brunt of this storm. It's going to get very snowy very quickly. And, you know, as it is with everyone else, you know, just stay off the roads. There's no need to go out today in the lake area whatsoever if you don't have to.
And Jay, I believe we just saw some of the pictures you sent back. It looked like maybe a quarter to a half inch of sleet and snow down.
Yeah, you know, it is accumulating, though. As I said, the wind is up and going, and it is, you know, blowing the snow around, and there's plenty of snow coming down. But as of right now, there really isn't too much to deal with here, but it's just an anticipation. Everyone knows it's coming. It's just a matter of how long it takes to finally get here.
Jay Schurter reporting live for us in Camdenton, and we'll check in with Jay throughout the morning. Thanks, Jay. The rain and sleet started falling sporadically in Springfield shortly after midnight, and that changed over this morning to heavy sleet.
Yeah, and swift drop in temperatures, too. I noticed the wind chill was down around 10 just a moment ago. KY3's Dave SNider is right out front here at Sunshine, and you were talking about shark teeth a while ago, and that's what the ice looked like coming out of the sky. What's it look like now?
You know, it still looks the same. I keep thinking I'm seeing a few big chunks of snow coming down very sporadically, but don't be surprised. This is still heavy sleet out here. It has not switched over to snow at all. It looked like that from the tower cam a minute ago, and Brandon and I were thinking that maybe we'd seen that line come through. It's still very heavy sleet. Not only does it look like shark's teeth when it's falling, just big chunks of ice coming down, but it feels like it. The umbrella's not to keep me dry. This stuff will bounce off me. It hurts when you're out in it. And it's surprising to see how fast some of the folks, watch these cars come by. They're just flying by on Sunshine, and dangerously so, I would suspect. The snowplow's been up and down Sunshine several times, and you might be able to see some of the cast off down below. This is what's coming off the street. It's just a lot of ice pellets, but it's quite a bit of it. And if you get on this and can't stop, you're going to go for a long way. So the snowplow is working very hard this morning to keep you safe, but obviously travel is strongly discouraged. And already we're hearing that police in Springfield are on emergency status at this point. So obviously travel's not a good idea if they've gone to that point. Plows continue to work here in the Springfield area, but it's still sleet and it's still very slick. And for now, it looks like it's still accumulating on the roadways. Very cold and very slick travel, and for now, pretty uncomfortable out here. Back to you guys.
We appreciate your being out in the elements for us. Dave SNider live. Thanks, Dave.
This coming winter storm is being taken seriously by Governor Nixon, who's already declared a state of emergency. And as KY3's Paula Morehouse reports, local emergency management agencies are also bracing for the storm.
It's a storm projected to be so powerful that southwest Missouri could get the most snow, ice, and bitter cold temperatures that we've seen in 99 years.
This is going to be a lot different. We're not going to be able to get around nearly as easily as we could.
Ryan Nichols was the director of the Springfield-Greene County Emergency Management Center when we bore through the 2007 ice storm. He says the agency learned a lot from that disaster and is more prepared than ever. He adds the best way for people to deal with this anticipated blizzard is by hunkering down at home with a several-day supply of necessities.
The worst case scenario is heat, food and water, and medicine.
Should the need arise for shelters, emergency management has several on standby and will release locations when they're open.
It's dependent on power outages of which one we can open, which one's closer to the need that still has power.
If you're a city utilities customer, the agency implemented a new system-wide call center after the 07 ice storm to report outages.
That call will automatically be logged, and it'll go into the system. We'll know that we need to come out into that area and take care of that.
People are being advised to stay home, but if you are traveling, make sure you have a cell phone, and should something go awry, don't panic.
If you end up in a ditch, call Star 55 and be patient. We will find you. And don't become desperate. When people become desperate, they start hiking and trying to find help. Help will come. That's what we really encourage people to stay with your vehicle.
And we're told utility companies do prioritize who gets power back first. Hospitals on top of the list, then schools, then areas that have the most widespread outages, so the biggest numbers. If your power goes out, go ahead and call CU. Let them know about it. The number is right there on your screen, 888-863-9001. That number is posted at ky3.com.
We are hearing about a power outage also in the Rogersville area on that note. If you lose power and turn to a generator for electricity, firefighters warn be sure you know how to use it properly. Most small generators are designed to power a few small appliances and maybe your refrigerator only. You should never plug it directly into your electrical system without the help of a licensed electrician, and only use it outside with a proper extension cord.
A lot of times people get these, they'll set them in their garage, start them up, they'll go to sleep, and then they forget that these are putting off carbon monoxide.
If you have any questions about your generator, don't second guess things, call an electrician. We're tracking that big winter storm. This is a live look at Storm Tracker 3 live Doppler radar. Coming up, we'll go over some of the tools you'll need to stay ahead of the winter weather.
And more people feeling under the weather. Who's getting hit hardest by the flu virus?
Your time now is 5:38, 24 degrees in Springfield right now, and heavy sleet coming down here. Watch for iced over bridges and glazed streets, and we have the snow starting in Camdenton where Jay Schurter is live. Brandon is up next with your storm team forecast and the latest projected snow and ice totals.
A blizzard warning is going into effect for areas along and north of the I-44 corridor.
Brandon Sullivan with Chaser TV is in the Joplin area near I-44 and Highway 71. He joins us live now on the phone. And Brandon, can you describe the road conditions for us?
Yeah, they're definitely pretty treacherous out here. Precipitation's kind of switching over from sleet back to snow, which is really making the road very slick. I've actually noted a snowplow stuck in the ditch and been hearing on the radio that they actually have a couple plows stuck in the ditch. So even for the bigger trucks, it's still really dangerous out here.
We know that here in the Springfield area, we have our police on emergency status, so, you know, they're only responding to injury accidents. Well, Brandon, you be safe out there, and we'll keep checking in with you on the road conditions.
All right, that sounds great. Thanks.
We'll check in again with you shortly. Brandon, our Brandon here in the studio, that got a little confusing there for a second. We are getting just what we thought we were going to get.
Yeah, so far it's unfolding about as expected. Maybe it jumps in a little sooner perhaps than I thought, but the rain snow line, or rather the sleet snow line, is just so close right now, and it's just kind of a matter of going, okay, when's it going to do it? It'll do it pretty soon here, I think. First, a little look at the blizzard warning. This officially begins at 6 o'clock, otherwise winter storm warning. Not to say that to confuse you, but I don't think the worst of it's going to be right off the bat. It's not like we turn the clock to 6 and go, holy cow. Now, for some of you, yeah, the snow's flying. For a lot of us, it's sleet and or freezing rain, but I think the worst of this is going to be between, let's say, 9 and about 3 this afternoon, maybe a little lighter than that for Springfield, or a little sooner than that in Springfield. But the point here is that this area in the orange, anywhere from, we got Stone County, Missouri, by the way, to Christian County, Webster, Wright, Pulaski, Phelps, and everywhere to the northwest, that's where I think the worst of this is going to be. Now, here's the radar, and we've got the winter mask, as we call it, so it's trying to determine precip type, and it puts it on there. Now, this is pretty close, although we're sleet in Springfield so far. We've had a few snowflakes mixed in, but predominantly sleet, and that's how it is to the southeast. But notice that everybody's at or below freezing, so it's going to be winter of some sort. We got 19. You saw the snow in Joplin. We're not really in the heaviest of it yet. Now, this band from looks like just west of or north of Mount Vernon all the way back up through, let's say, Buffalo and maybe Camdenton, there's likely some heavy snow rates in here, but what's going to come later on this morning, I think, is going to put that to shame. It ought to get going here pretty quickly. Now, temps have continued to drop. We're 23 in Springfield, 32 in Branson, same in Mountain Home, and the numbers down here are likely going to bobble around a little bit near the freezing mark, and so it's going to be freezing rain predominantly and then changing to sleet there. We're going to hope that happens sooner than later. The longer it stays freezing rain, the bigger trouble we have. 25 degrees in Rolla, and you see 19 in Joplin. Now watch this. Here's the storm. You can actually see a bit of a spin down here toward Dallas. This is where the core of the storm is. But what's going to happen here is the storm center is going to lift northeast. While we have that band of heavy snow now, you see some breaks in here. Well, as this low begins to pull up, the lift here is actually going to intensify, and you're just going to see this expand and explode essentially and move over at least western Missouri with very heavy snow. Here it is in the surface, and this is by about 7 o'clock, so hour and what, 15 minutes or so. But watch what happens. The low pulls east and see this big band of heavy snow. The wind is going to get stronger through the day. So again, the worst of the conditions are likely going to happen from later on this morning into the afternoon. Now, as the low pulls out toward a boot heel by this afternoon, I think any snow that's down here in northern Arkansas is going to be pretty light at that point, or at least lightening up, with the heaviest band across northwestern parts of the Ozarks and northern parts of the Ozarks on the backside of the low. So that's where the heaviest snow is going to be. Now here's midnight tonight. See these white lines? That is tracing areas of pressure, equal areas of pressure. And so the tighter these lines are packed, harder the wind blows. I think by later on this evening into tonight, we're going to see wind gusts over 40 miles an hour. With the snow on the ground and a few flakes still flying, that's going to mean a blizzard. 50 or a half inch to as much as an inch of ice down here to the southeast. There will likely be a change over to sleet. The exact timing of that's just real tough to tell. We're talking a thin layer in the atmosphere that's warm and creating that changeover. I think about a foot of snow in Springfield, 6 to 12, all the way down to near Branson. I think Branson is closer to the 6, and then the higher amounts as you head north. Not only do we get this first round coming north, but we also get the wraparound up here toward Warsaw Lake of the Ozarks and Iberia. So local totals are near 20 inches there. I think that's probably going to be the extreme end of it, but we're going to have some thunderstorms within this, and that will likely to take those totals to near 20, though that's not going to be necessarily the rule. 20 degrees for a temp by this afternoon. We're obviously warmer now, but we keep dropping. 24 in Arkansas and dropping there with a wintry mix. 7 to 12 tonight. The snow should be over for the most part. Some flurries left over, but wind will be insane. Wind chills way below zero. And speaking of below zero, minus 12 Thursday morning. Our highs are only going to be in the low teens, and we just slowly crawl back up to real close to the freezing mark Saturday, maybe slightly above Sunday. But folks, with as much snow and ice is going to be on the ground, a day above freezing is not going to cut it, and we go right back down early next week. Another shot at some snow, followed by temps in the teens, I think, by Tuesday.
All right, well, a lot for the two of you to handle this morning. Thank you, Brandon. All right. Your time now is 5:46. Egyptian chaos.
Where 1 million people are expected to join a protest calling for a new president. Good morning. Time now 5:47, 24 degrees outside. We've been seeing snow, sleet, freezing rain, snane, pick a precipitation type. We've seen it all here in Springfield this morning as we sit at 24 degrees with a wind chill of 10. Close to 300 schools are closed this morning.
That means the park board will open up the Oak Grove Community Center for school-aged kids. The activities start at 7 o'clock this morning, run until 6 tonight. Children can enjoy games, arts and crafts, movies, and other indoor fun. Yeah, the cost is $12. Children must bring a sack lunch. Registration runs from 7 to 9 a.m. at the community center or until that program is filled up. Well, we had a major jump in the cases of influenza this past week. Last week, there were 108 confirmed cases of flu in Greene County. That's more than double from the week before and more than the first 3 weeks of January combined. All but one of those newest cases were type A and B. The hardest hit group, children between 5 and 14 years old, as you might suspect. Doctors say people can still get a flu shot if you want to protect yourself from that nasty virus. A federal judge has declared the Obama administration's health care law unconstitutional. He agreed with 26 states suing the federal government, arguing people cannot be required to buy health insurance. There are now 2 rulings for the health care law, 2 against the law, so it seems this will eventually be sorted out by the U.S. Supreme Court. Nearly 1 million protesters are expected in downtown Cairo today. Here's a live look. Tahrir Square is the site of previous anti-government demonstrations. For the last 7 days, protesters have called for the ousting of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. The army moved into the city 2 days ago and has set up checkpoints on streets leading into downtown.
Your armed forces is not and will not use violence against this great people.
Meantime, Standard & Poor's has become the second major credit agency in as many days to downgrade its rating on Egypt following this week of violent protests. Your time now is 5:50. Brandon's in next with the latest projections on snowfall and ice totals across the Ozarks. Plus, Dave SNider will join us with a live update on road conditions in the Ozarks.
And now, your KY3 Storm Team forecast.
Well, I typically begin this segment by saying if you're traveling. I hope you're not today. Across the entire middle of the country, our storm actually just getting cranking, folks. We're not seeing the worst of it yet, even though it's getting bad out there in some cases. The core of the storm is down toward Dallas. It has yet to lift northeast, and as it does, we're going to see snowfall rates between 2 and 3 inches per hour over western Missouri. It is coming down in some cases now, but it will likely get stronger through the day, particularly later this morning and into the early afternoon. Now, I want to show you the warning map. This is insane. All the pink wind chill warnings from Bismarck to Denver to Lubbock. We've got blizzard warnings from Oklahoma City to Springfield to Chicago and up into the lower part of Michigan, and winter storm warnings for almost all of Maine, all of New York, all of Pennsylvania, and all of the Ohio Valley. It's a big storm, folks. Lots of cold air on the backside of it. Currently -7 in Bismarck, -12 in Denver. I think we get there by Thursday morning. Temps today are going to do nothing but go downhill. You see the big temperature spread there. I think highs tomorrow and Thursday only in the teens. Thanks, Brandon. The big story this morning, a blizzard warning about to take effect in a couple minutes. So far, we're seeing mostly ice and sleet on the roads in Springfield. Current temperature outside at 24. KY3's Dave SNider joins us live from West Sunshine with a quick update on travel conditions. And what's it look like out there now, Dave?
Paul, travel is still possible, but obviously not recommended. Springfield police have gone to emergency status now, indicating that travel is not a good idea at all. You can see people behind me going up and down Sunshine. Thankfully, they've slowed it down a little bit since earlier this morning when they're just racing down the street. But there's easily, a good probably ½ inch of sleet on the grass. A lot of what you're looking at right here is cast off from the plows that have making numerous trips up and down Sunshine. But, it's cold out here, and so far the precipitation type that we've seen this hour has all been sleet. However, one big change, it's really letting up at the moment here at KY3. That may not be the case where you are and should rapidly change over to snow, as Brandon has been indicating. Now, what would a foot of snow look like? Well, here is a snow ruler and about 12 inches. That's about midway up my calf, but keep in mind, just 12 inches of snow, that itself is not as big of a problem as the drifting snow may become later on tomorrow and on into Thursday on top of very cold temperatures. Guys, we'll keep you up to date with the latest weather outside. Back to you.
All right, Dave SNider reporting live for us. Thank you, Dave. Time now is 5:54.
Up next, the latest on blizzard preparations from Greene County Emergency Management. We know Springfield police are on emergency status, meaning they'll only respond to injury accidents.
Meantime, the Greene County Office of Emergency Management is trying to get in front of this winter storm. Larry Woods is on the phone with us this morning. And over in Webster County, we're hearing power is out in parts of Rogersville. Have you heard of any power outages in Greene County so far?
So far, we haven't had any reports of any outages in Greene County, but we are monitoring that situation.
Larry, on the scanners coming out to the news desk before the news started, we heard of several slide-offs. What are you guys dealing with out there?
We have had some slide-offs overnight. We would anticipate those to increase as morning rush hour starts. So we're just encouraging drivers to slow down, pay attention to how fast they're going, what their speed is, and of course increase their following distance.
And Larry, I'm looking at the MoDOT traveler map right now, and it looks like 44 from Joplin all the way up to Rolla is reported as covered, and it looks like all of Greene County on the MoDOT map is reporting covered roads. Is that what you're seeing here in Greene County also?
Yes, we had some reports from our Greene County Highway Department earlier that much of the county to the north was snow covered, whereas some of the county to the south was getting more sleet. The roads are going to be covered. However, we've had our county highway department crews out most of the night, as well as the city public works crews, and they'll continue out throughout the event.
Okay, Larry, we'll try to check back with you throughout the morning to get updates, and we'll just remind people to please be careful out there on the streets. If you don't need to go anywhere, don't. Larry Woods with the Greene County Emergency Management. Thanks, Larry.
It's great to hear no power out at this point.
Right.
Let's hope it stays that way. We'll be right back.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. This is KY3's Ozarks Today.
Bracing for a blizzard.
Straight ahead on Ozarks Today, live team coverage of where the storm is heading and what's coming down right now.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, February 1st. I'm Paul Adler.
And I'm Maria Neider. A blizzard warning just went into effect at the top of the hour. Nearly 300 schools canceling classes today, including Springfield Public Schools and Missouri State, all in anticipation of this major winter event here in the Ozarks.
We begin our team coverage with the latest from the Storm Team Center. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning. Getting up and looking outside going, it's a little bit of sleet. The worst of this is still to come. We are just getting started with this storm. The center is currently in eastern Texas. It's going to go up through the boot heel today, and this is going to get a whole lot worse before it's over. We're kind of in the initial round of this, just what we call warm air advection. You see this warm air come up over the top of the cold, and it's created kind of a batch of anything from snow, generally north of I-44. We've had mostly sleet in Springfield at this point, although some snow mixed in. And then got a report from Mansfield saying straight freezing rain there, all the way down through Branson and into northwest Arkansas as well. The next batch getting set to come up out of central Arkansas. Now, as we put this in motion for you right quick, or at least to show you Storm Tracker, you see everything where those yellows and oranges, well, that's a little bit heavier, and it's all running to the north. Now, everybody in the Ozarks at this point, or it was last check, at or below freezing. Mountain Home and Branson, the warm spots, 31 in West Plains, 24 in Rolla, 23 in Springfield. That means there could be some serious icing trouble to the southeast. Now, we're going to hope it changes to sleet a little sooner than later. Up to an inch of ice down there from Houston to West Plains to Mountain Home, Mansfield, Branson, Harrison, and then some snow on top of that. I really haven't changed that forecast any. I think we get near a foot in Springfield, higher amounts to the north, and the blizzard conditions will really get going later today. The heaviest snow falling from this morning into the late afternoon. I'll have more detail in the rest of your forecast in about 10 minutes.
We'll see you then. Thanks, Brandon. Heavy sleet has been pelting the Springfield area this morning.
That combined with the drop in temperatures is making driving conditions hazardous this morning. KY3 meteorologist Dave SNider joins us live now from West Sunshine with the latest. And we've noticed some wind gusts really blowing your umbrella around this morning.
Yeah, the umbrella is not so much to keep the rain off me. It's not raining out here. In fact, the heavy sleet I think we were seeing about an hour ago has really let up. It's very small flakes and maybe very tiny ice crystal grains. What's happening in the atmosphere is we have big flakes of snow, probably chunks of snow falling down, as you would imagine in a big snowstorm. They're melting in a warm layer of air and then refreezing on the way down. That's sleet. It's a big difference from freezing rain. That's rain and then freezing on contact. And I'm looking at the power lines. I haven't seen a whole lot of accumulation there, so good news for that, at least in the Springfield area. But as far as sleet goes, we've probably had a good ½ to 1 inch of sleet on the roads, and you can see there's been plenty of tracks up and down Sunshine. The plows have been pretty busy out here this morning, and a lot of what you see down here at my feet is just cast off from those snow plows itself. This is not total accumulation on its own. This is, again, piling up from the snow plow. But all these tiny little ice crystal grains are out there on the roads, especially secondary roads, and things are pretty slick outside. Police in the Springfield area are on emergency reporting status, meaning if you're not injured, they're not going to come. Basically, stay inside. There's no need to get out and drive around today. A lot of things are closed, so hunker down, enjoy the storm, and keep it tuned to KY3. Guys, back to you.
Dave, one viewer said it's like walking on sand out there, cold sand. Is that what it feels like?
It really is, and you know, I'm making trips back and forth to the building here. If you get a running start, you can certainly go for a little bit of an ice skate across the parking lot. Imagine what you can do at 40 to 50 miles an hour on the road if you're throwing the brakes, so be careful.
Dave SNider live for us this morning out in the elements. Thank you, Dave.
Sure. If you are heading out, you do need to be prepared. Along with your cell phone, water, and snacks, AAA recommends you stock your car with some winter driving essentials: salt or sand, a blanket, a snow brush, a small snow shovel, and have some booster cables. Well, the further north you go, the more snow is expected with this storm.
KY3's Jay Schurter joins us live now on the phone from Camdenton with the latest on travel conditions up there. And Jay, we did see some of your pictures from earlier this morning. More snow coming down for you right now?
Well, Dave SNider was talking about how these big flakes are coming down. That is certainly the case in Camdenton right now. I'm looking at the MoDOT map. It is now purple all across the area, meaning that all the roads here, 54, Highway 5, Highway 7, all completely covered. Something to definitely keep in mind as you're going out. And he also mentioned about stores being closed. The Walmart just called here in Camdenton. It is open now. For how long they'll be able to keep open, we don't know. But if people do need last-minute supplies and want to get them before it starts getting really bad outside, now would definitely be the time. We did speak with a truck driver who was staying at our hotel. He's been a truck driver for 25 years. He says today will literally be the worst weather that he's ever seen as a truck driver. He's got a lot of stops in this area. He thinks he's only going to be able to do a handful of them and then come right back to the hotel and hunker down because he doesn't have much of a choice. The sheriff's office is still saying that things are running smoothly here, that people are staying home. They have not gotten any accidents up until this point. They certainly hope that trend continues. But as of right now, it is hitting at about maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, but it's coming down pretty well, and they do expect it later this morning around 8, 9 o'clock to really start coming down. So we're going to be on the delayed end. Everyone else, I think, is going to be getting hit before us, but I think they're definitely watching to see what the rest of the state's doing because they know it's coming this way.
Jay, we're getting a first look at your video there, and I could see those windshields look pretty glazed over. Have you had a chance to take a closer look at that? I imagine people are going to have to do some chipping this morning if they are going anywhere.
Well, I've been looking at about 3 vehicles that have been on for about half an hour to an hour, so they're trying to, I think, de-thaw their vehicle at this point, but a lot of people are going to have to deal with a little bit of ice. We did get that around 3, 4 in the morning. Now the snow is just starting to cover that ice, which makes it very dangerous out there because you don't see the ice. All you see is the snow, but that ice is certainly there. It's just hidden down here at the lake.
Jay Schurter reporting live for us from Camdenton, where the Camden County Courthouse also closed today due to the weather. Thank you, Jay. We want to now show you the MoDOT traveler information map, and you can pull up webcams at many exits. And right now, looking at this map, it's showing covered roads in the southwest part of our viewing area. You can see a shot of the Mount Vernon exits here. Now, to check on, there's a look for you right there. To check on road conditions in Missouri, you can call MoDOT at 1-888-275-6636. The number for drivers in Arkansas, 1-800-245-1672.
Missouri Governor Jay Nixon declared a state of emergency ahead of the storm, telling residents, quote, batten down the hatches. He's also activated the National Guard in anticipation of the storm that's just hitting now. 600 Guard members are deployed around the state to help out with local emergency response.
Folks should batten down the hatches and hold on. The most likely place to get hurt is out on the road, and sticking close to home and inside home, and then helping your neighbors once we get through this is going to be very, very important.
The head of the Missouri Highway Patrol says descriptions being applied to this storm by weather forecasters are the worst in his 27-year career. You should plan on not traveling. State troopers will be working extra hours to assure safety for those who do have to get out on the roads.
This just in, Branson City Hall closed and Alton closed. Alton and Branson City Hall closed. Local emergency management agencies are obviously bracing for this storm. The director of Springfield-Greene County Emergency Management says emergency workers learned a lot from the 2007 ice storm. Ryan Nichols says the agency is more prepared than ever now. The best way for people to deal with this anticipated blizzard is by hunkering down at home with a several-day supply of necessities.
For worst case scenario is heat, food and water, I'll combine those as one, and medicine.
Should the need arise for shelters, emergency management has several on standby and will release those locations when they open.
How is the winter storm impacting you? Up next, we'll take a look at photos sent in to us by KY3 viewers.
Making blanket cancellations, and the Super Bowl is on General Motors' comeback route. It's all coming up in the Bloomberg Business Report.
Your time now is 6:08, about 24 degrees in Springfield right now. A bit of a lull here with the sleet that was coming down earlier and the snow really coming down in the Camdenton area where we have Jay Schurter live for us this morning. The blizzard warning now in effect for the Ozarks. Brandon's up next with your storm team forecast and how much snow and ice could be coating our area.
You're watching KY3's Ozarks Today with Maria Neider, Paul Adler, and Storm Team meteorologist Brandon Beck, the Ozarks' #1 newscast.
Time now coming up on 6:11. We've already been getting pictures from the start of this storm. Mark Holyfield saw this in Bodark overnight. He started hearing thunder around 1 o'clock this morning and says it took 20 minutes for the ground to be completely covered with sleet. For us here, we saw that sleet early this morning, and now we're in a bit of a lull. I was checking on Facebook here. It's been sleeting since 10 p.m. in Lebanon, and they're covered with ice. And then in Stockton, this one person is putting that at 3 this morning, the snow was coming down.
Yeah. And you were talking about how big this storm is. I just got a picture from a friend who is going to be attending the Super Bowl. Snow and sleet picture right outside the stadium there. There's a nice picture of the stadium there in Dallas.
There are blizzard warnings that go from Oklahoma City to Chicago, winter storm warnings that go from the Texas Panhandle all the way to New York City. So yeah, it's a big storm. We've got a blizzard warning in effect. I'm going to show you that in a second. But first of all, this is Storm Tracker 3 live Doppler, and we do continue to see this all move in from the south. Now, we have occasional little lulls in this, but folks, really, the worst of this is still to come. The storm center is actually way down in eastern Texas. Now, I'm going to show you what it looks like on the NextRad network. This is a Weather Service radar. We paint the what we call P-type, precipitation type, and it is snow primarily right along the north of the interstate. Now, it shows it is snow all the way down into Nixon, Ozark, and it's not. It's just sleet there. But the idea here is that we're so close to the line. There's a layer, say 10,000 feet up, that's just a degree above freezing in Springfield right now. We're at the airport where the balloon went up. And so as soon as that goes away, it's all snow, and it's not that far away. Heavy snow down into eastern Oklahoma. There's a spot straight north of Tulsa right about here that's got 8 inches on the ground already. That's why we're telling you, folks, this is going to be a big deal, and particularly later this morning, once this thing really gets cranking, and I think it's going to be western Missouri where the heaviest snow falls. Now, there are some big flakes coming down from about Lebanon back over through the Stockton area right now from emailers that are sending me stuff. So this is going to pick up in intensity. Blizzard warning from Rolla. This is like a tier of counties south of the interstate, but from Rolla down through Fort Wood, Pulaski County, Webster, Wright, Christian, Stone, down through Cassville, and then westward through Anderson and everywhere north of that. And you see it all the way down to Tulsa, Chanute, and northeastward Chicago. Blizzard warning. Everybody else in the Ozarks has a winter storm warning in effect. You'll see why. Temps 32. That's the warm spot down in Mountain Home right now. Same thing in Branson. We're 23 in Springfield. Joplin's at 18. We continue to drop, and that colder air working its way in from the west. Here's the big picture, and this is kind of important because as you watch, see this heavy band of snow. Look what it's doing in Dallas. Can you imagine what they're thinking down there? Now, they're not going to get nearly as heavy as what we are here. Band of thunderstorms now, some severe weather possible in eastern Texas and east into Louisiana. But this big band of snow, it does run up into the Ozarks now, but the storm center's way down here. As that moves northeast, this whole thing, you're just going to see it go boom. I mean, it's going to explode, and then we're going to get the wraparound that catches our northern counties. So the accumulation forecast has not changed much. First of all, the ice, and by that I mean freezing rain, the kind that sticks to stuff, a half to as much as an inch. Now, the trick here is determining when it changes over to sleet, and that just takes a little bit of a thickening of that cold air. The fact that it is going south sooner could actually be a good thing. You're going to have freezing rain a little longer, but you also could change it to sleet first. So I do think that there's a worst case scenario of an inch there, but lighter amounts as you head north where it'll change to snow quicker. For snowfall amounts, I think on top of that ice, 3 to as high as 6 for Houston and West Plains. I think West Plains probably closer to that 3, and there's a potential that you don't even get that much based on the timing of all of this. Harrison probably closer to that 3 or 4 inch range. I think we get about a foot in Springfield, possibly more, possibly less, depending on the timing of the change. And then to the north, 12 to as high as 20. There are some thunderstorms in all of this, and in those pockets, you're going to see snowfall rates that go to 2 and 3 inches per hour. So the worst of this, again, is still ahead of us. The wind is going to get stronger through the day. The temps are going to drop off. So for those looking outside this morning going, yeah, give it some time. 20 degrees this afternoon. Will likely be colder than that by late afternoon in Springfield. 24 in Arkansas. We had our highs at midnight, and we're going downhill. 7 to 12 tonight. Now, the snow is going to lighten up for Springfield early afternoon and into the evening tonight across the central Missouri, but the wind is going to get stronger. Wind gusts over 40 miles an hour at times. Highs tomorrow and Thursday only in the teens, and provided we get the snow I expect, minus 12 on Thursday. Give or take a few degrees. I think we're still below freezing Friday, and we finally get to the freezing mark perhaps by the tail end of the weekend. But Maria, there is another Arctic wave coming our way. I think it's going to drop us back again with possibly more snow by Monday into Tuesday next week.
You know, you guys are tracking this for several days since Friday, so you know, at least we gave people that time to prepare for this, and we can only hope that people who don't need to be out on the roads stay home. Thank you, Brandon. Your time now is 6:16. Up next, how the winter storm is impacting flights out of Springfield this morning. Plus, what's
6:18 now. Many carriers are struggling to cut costs. We're talking about airplanes here. Here's Jane King with the Bloomberg Business Reports.
Good morning. Not again. Airlines canceling thousands of flights across the country as giant storms start causing transportation nightmares. Also, major airlines easing travel rules on things like change fees to help passengers deal with flight rescheduling because of the weather. And you know, airlines making decisions to cancel flights and drop change fees earlier and earlier. A faster response helps them save millions of dollars in costs and potential lost sales, and avoid scenes like this when more than 130,000 JetBlue passengers got stranded during an East Coast ice storm. It cost JetBlue more than $41 million in lost revenue. United Continental, Delta, and American are now using new jet tracking technology to help target cutbacks so fewer planes and people pile up at socked-in airports. Well, Egypt, U.S. manufacturing and January auto sales numbers getting some attention here on Wall Street this morning. Investors yesterday shrugging off concerns about political instability in the Middle East and drove stocks higher. Banner earnings from oil giant ExxonMobil helping fuel those gains. And General Motors hoping to make an end run around the competition celebration with a new Super Bowl ad blitz. The automaker will air 5 Chevy commercials during this Sunday's big game. The Associated Press also says GM plans a tie-in with the post-Super Bowl Glee episode and will be giving away a Camaro to the game's most valuable player. GM set out the last 2 Super Bowls as it struggled to reorganize and emerge from bankruptcy. At the New York Stock Exchange, I'm Jane King with the Bloomberg Business Report.
619, 23 degrees outside with a wind chill of 7. Want to mention that the 38 Southwest Missouri Office on Aging senior centers in 17 counties are closed today. This just coming into the newsroom.
Live team coverage of a major winter storm continues. Brandon's in next with the latest from the Storm Team Center. About 300 schools closed. We're hearing Alton closed, Branson City Hall closed, a power outage in the Rogersville area along Highway BVV West, and the Taney County Courthouse now closed. We'll be back after this.
And now, your KY3 Storm Team forecast.
Morning, everybody. The radar is lit up this morning. A lot of this is sleet in and around the Springfield area, but there are some pockets of snow, and in fact, it's all snow once you get north of, well, it's not all that far north of Springfield, quite frankly. An inch of snow on the ground in Stover. That's fallen in the last 40 minutes. All right, this is going to pick up in intensity. Where you see the yellows and oranges and even the reds, well, that's indicating sleet. It's freezing rain for the most part to the east of Springfield. Mansfield had freezing rain all morning, and the changeover line does run back down into the far southwest corner of Missouri. So it's just a matter of time before this switch is over, and I think once it does, it's going to snow pretty hard. The worst of this storm is still to come, folks. Temps are at or below freezing area-wide. We're 23 in Springfield. Even at Mountain Home, it's 32, and so freezing rain likely there. I'll have details on those amounts when I come back in a bit.
Thank you, Brandon. We're getting reports of the heaviest snow coming down along the I-44 corridor and north, and the Joplin area reports of already 5.5 inches of snow.
Brandon Sullivan with Chaser TV is in the Joplin area. And Brandon, what are the roads like when you get closer to town?
Well, they're definitely pretty slick, and as I just heard, we do have about 5 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. Definitely starting to see a lot more traffic picking up as people are going out for the morning commute. Roads are pretty slick. You know, you may be able to get where you're going this morning, but it's certainly going to be a lot worse come the end of the day.
Have you seen many accidents while you've been out on the road, Brandon? We can see now that you've pulled over and have stopped for the time being.
Yeah, we did stop here for a bit at a gas station in Joplin. We did see a snowplow in the ditch earlier, and we've heard some accidents over the radio. We heard of a semi that's on its side closer to the Oklahoma border, but not accidents right.
And it sounds like we've lost Brandon Sullivan. He's on the phone with us, and we're seeing live video from his dash there,
yeah.
Dash cam. And it certainly looks like they have 5.5 inches in the Joplin area.
And it looks like it was a good idea for him to pull over there and take a little bit of a break.
He's pulling over to talk to us when he does talk to us. Time now 6:24. Staying in control on slick streets.
Up next, a refresher course on what to do if you have to get behind the wheel today. We, of course, are urging everyone not to do that if possible, and this is why.
.26 now. We thought we'd take a look at some driving tips in case you decide to get out there in this mess this morning on the icy and snowy roads. If your rear wheels skid, take your foot off the accelerator, steering the direction you want the front wheels to go. If you have standard brakes, pump them gently. If you have analog brakes, apply steady pressure. You'll feel those analog brakes pulse, and that's normal.
If your front wheels skid, take your foot off of the gas and shift to neutral, but don't try to steer immediately. Wait until your traction returns, then put the vehicle in drive and accelerate gently. It's a snow day for kids in hundreds of school districts, including Springfield, Ozark, and Nixa.
But when they're done building snowmen and snow angels, here's some ideas on how to keep them busy inside. You can watch a family movie together, break out an old board game, build a fort, have an indoor picnic, or this is what I'm excited about. We're going to bake cookies today, chocolate chip cookies.
Perfect time to do that.
My wife picked up the supplies yesterday. Time now 6:28. More ahead in the next half hour of Ozarks Today.
At 6:31, we're tracking the winter weather, and we'll show you how the snow and ice is slowing travel across the Ozarks, a standstill in some spots.
And at 6:38, what steps you can take to stay safe and warm if your power goes out. And we are hearing about a power outage in Rogersville.
And we may have a few more of those to the southeast of Springfield where there's more likely going to be ice, but the snow transition not that far from Springfield. We'll talk details in a minute.